Okay, in this video, we are going to talk about consecutive angles, which are similar to supplementary angles. Together they add up to 180. And when you have variables for angles and expressions for angles, we want to know how to solve that and find the angle measure. So the first thing you're going to do is we're going to give you an example. So we're going to take parallel lines cut by a transversal, and we're going to use these two interior angles. This is going to be 15x plus 3, and this angle here, that's this angle right there, and then this angle is going to be 20x minus 2 degrees. Okay, so those just pretty much represent angles. So don't think of them as something that's so abstract you have no idea what it is. Basically all we're doing is we want to solve for x, and then we multiply that number by 15 and add it to 3, and that'll tell us this angle measurement. And we'll use the same number for x, multiply it by 20, subtract from 2, and that'll give us this angle measurement. In this case, unlike the last video, these two angles are going to add up to 180. So they're not going to necessarily be the same angle measurement like the other ones were. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to write down what kind of angles they are. Well, on the quiz you're going to be asked to name them, and these are consecutive. Interior. Why? Because they are one after the other. It's this angle and then this angle, and they're inside the parallel lines on the same side of the transversal. And this angle and this angle are also consecutive interior to each other. So consecutive interior angles add up to 180 degrees. So together they add up to 180. So whenever you have consecutive interior angles, the way you're going to set up your equation, which is step 2, is you want to put 180 on the right side of the equal sign, and you want to put one angle here and add it to another angle. So let's take the first circle, the first angle. We're going to plug in 15x plus 3, and then take the second one, and it's 20x minus 2. So we have this angle in here, this angle in here, and it basically doesn't matter if you were to switch them, because when you add them all together, you're going to get the same answer. So I'm going to rewrite this and get the bubbles out. So essentially this is the exact same thing, just a little more clear for you to see. And I'm going to look to see what are the like terms on this side, because we need to combine anything we can before we do anything else. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to combine the x's together. So there are 15 x's and 20 x's, and together we're going to end up with 35x. And then 3 minus 2, well, that's actually, we're going to change this, my bad. I want to make this plus 2. Plus 2. Okay, sorry about that. So this is actually plus 2, not minus 2, so I just made all the 2's positive here. So it's going to be 35, and then 3 plus 2 is 5. And that equals 180 degrees. So at this point, we are going to now solve for x. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look to the side with the variable, because the whole objective is to combine your like terms and then look to the side of the variable and then get the variable all by itself. And when you do that, in this case, well, we're adding 5 to the variable, even though it's still stuck to the 35. So how do we get rid of that 5? Well, we subtract 5. So you can minus 5, minus 5. If I minus 5 on this side, I have to do the same thing to this side, because this is a balanced equation. So this is going to give me 175 equals, the 5's cancel out, and leave me with 35x. So now I have 35x equals 175. So now I need to divide both sides by 35, because 35 divided by 35 is going to be 1, and 1 times x is x, because really between the 35 and the x you have a little multiplication sign, you just don't see it. It's implied, meaning 35 times x. So what do? You divide because it's the opposite of multiplication. And we're going to divide this side by 35 as well. And when we do that, we end up with x is equal to 5. So we just solved that equation. That's step 3, solving it and finding out what x is. Step 4, we're going to take our two expressions that were the angle measures, which was 15x plus 3, and we have 20x plus 2, and instead of using x, we're now going to plug in 5. So we're going to now have 15 times 5 plus 3, and this is going to be 20 times 5 plus 2. So this angle is going to be 20 times 5 is 100 plus 2 will equal 102. And again, remember, they should be different in this case because one's obtuse and one's acute, but together they add up to 180. And this is, well, 15 times 5 is going to be 75 plus 3. So we're going to end up with 78 degrees. So that's what this one equals. And if you take 102 plus 78, you end up with 180 because this angle is 102, this angle is 78. Together they add up to 180, making them consecutive interior angles.